Jalecia says, I wish the YouTube algorithm would reach more audience. You are speaking truth, self-control, self-initiative, self-awareness. Self-discovery is the main factor with long-term success. While there are many paths that might lead to the same goal, maintenance and long-term success are dependent on our self-control. Don't despair, regardless of how popular we are or are not. Truth has never worked like that. Truth is a thing that exists in seed form, and it is something that you are a part of. If you recognize, Jalecia, the things that you say, which you do, anyone else who recognizes the same things has the benefit of also being a part of the seed. And just like any seed from a tree or plant or bush, it spreads. And it does so in the most humble of ways. When a seed falls from a tree and plants, nobody sits there and watches it. When it embeds into the ground and the roots grow, it takes root and eventually creates a massive tree. And you recall in the New Testament, Jesus makes that same example about the roots of the trees. When the seed starts out humbly, but when it is grown, it grows. My friends, we are on YouTube just one look at the world at large. What does the world desire? It desires excess, it desires gluttony, it desires hedonism, it desires drugs, it desires governmental overreach and control. It desires the most horrible things that we ultimately do not want. If you are a truth seeker, it doesn't so much matter as what you believe as you believe that there is a truth. And what you find in literature and in religion and in science fiction and in poetry is the same truth that is in seed form there. You need only look around your world and find the fact that most people don't want to control themselves. Most people don't want what is right. That's what makes them the masses. My friends, the divine is talking to you through me and through everything that you've ever experienced. That can be trippy and new agey and sounds woo-woo. And some of my viewers get so mad at me. They say, why do you talk about stuff like this? Because it has everything to do with your ability to exude anything like self-control. Everything is talking to you. Just look at the stories in the Bible. Noah was faced against the whole world. He was building an ark and everybody mocked him and said, this fool thinks there's going to be a bunch of water come from the sky. And of course, you know how the rest of the story goes. 8 souls were saved by water, according to 1 Peter 3:21. Then we move along to Genesis chapter 11, where, Nimrod and the Tower of Babel, one of the funniest stories in the Bible, but also one of the most telling, can be read. You read the story and you find that God comes in human form and says, look at what man has done. They have built themselves a tower unto heaven. Now nothing will be restrained from the imaginations of their heart. So what did God do? According to the legend, God confused them, confounded them, and created all of the languages that we now have. I know we didn't get languages that way. It's also kind of silly, the fact that in the New Testament, the book of 1 Corinthians, God is not the author of confusion. He very much was here. He confused literally the whole world. But I digress. They thought in those days that if you got high enough, then you would get to a blue dome, and if you just took a hammer, you could crack it and crawl through it, and you would be in the realm of the gods. They believed that the stars were pinpoints of light where God could come through and look down on the world. We laugh at that now, but you can completely understand why they thought what they thought. And there are lots of paintings by medieval artists and even modern artists about a Tower of Babel with secret teleporting technology and all of these sorts of things. Well, all of that is non-essential to the point. What you understand is the elect is always small, just like the seeds. The package of a giant bag of seeds is pretty small. You just put it in your yard, and the seeds do their work. And it's the same thing with regard to our science fiction. Look at any science fiction is about an elect resisting a resistance. Look at Star Wars and the Empire, Star Trek, and you have that episode, what was it, Return to Tomorrow, where the Enterprise gets transported underneath the ground where these beings, I think they were called Aratons as a species, and they were disembodied because they had once been like humans. They had dared defy themselves with the gods. And they had a great species. They traveled the galaxy And finally they died and they were destroyed. And Kirk and all of them find themselves in the middle of a age-old war with these beings fighting for power. It was one of the worst episodes of Star Trek.
One day our minds became so powerful, we dared think of ourselves as gods.
But my point is this: your understanding of the truth will understand your motivation, will undercut your motivation. If you really want to understand truth, you understand that it's always a thing in seed form. Truth is ugly, it is unattractive, it is monotonous, and it is mundane, it is boring. That's why people would rather have soda as opposed to water, because water's always been here. Water's not hip, water's not cool. People always have to change it in some way. Just that simple analogy is what makes this channel so special, because here we're getting back to what has always been the case. We're getting back to the boring. We're getting back to what you know works. Stop listening to the 27-year-old man bun surfer dude, raw foodists who are trying to tell you to go out and make some crazy cantaloupe diet. Stop listening to carnivores that haven't even hit their goal weight yet, who are claiming to be ridden of all of these diseases. Stop listening to the early 30-something soccer mom driving the Honda Odyssey minivan telling you need to go out there and do all this activity and eat 5 times a day. Stop listening to these people, because they don't have this seed of truth. And if you see, now what's the difference, someone might say, in believing you have truth and actually having truth? And the difference is it's the least option you want to take. The relationships of men and women, it's a basic thing, goes all the way back. Again, water, self-control, virtue, nobody's going to argue that this stuff isn't true. People will ignore it and look for something else. But if you have a mind to search it, you will eventually find it. So what do you do with all of the man bun people, the hippies, the extreme dieters, the crazy fringe people? You let them play the dieting game until they already have experienced all of that, and they come right back to what has to work, the seed. You plant the seed, the tree grows. That's the way of success. You do that, you acknowledge that, you see that in the lives of others, but only you understand it. You cannot be in the mindset of trying to convince people of the truth. So that's why the truth started here in 2015, as far as OMAD was concerned, as far as fasting being cool on the internet. I don't care who gets the credit, because I know that I'm starting something that everybody will inevitably have to come back to. You can go run away from it for a while, just like so many people will. They'll find this and decide that I'm not what they expected. They'll find that fasting is too hard. They'll find that they want something easier, and they'll walk away. And then they'll come back, because they'll find that they're only going to end up playing the same silly games that they ever tried and failed at before. This is the nature of truth. Truth is that thing that you come back to when everything else in your life has broken and fallen apart. Some of you can see that early. Some of you will see that much later. But you're going to come right back, and you're going to embrace and plant the seed of truth, and it's going to grow.